My name's Greg. I work for WeVideo, and so what I want to do is give, the goal is about half the time is on a hands-on. So I want you to experience the product, get a chance to see what it's all about. And so I'm going to give, I've done it, this presentation a number of times, and people, I used to say, people say, I just want hands-on, nothing about WeVideo, and then people would walk out of the session and go, you didn't tell me anything about your product. So I've done it to say, so what I try to do is do a kind of a quick commercial. So I always put this up because sometimes people come in, we have a free version. I'll be real honest up front, a free version, but it's really limited. I mean, matter of fact, as a guy who, my goal is to get people excited about the school version, and free is super limited, and it's frustrating. You have the watermark, you don't get green screen, you don't get screencasting, the different things like that. So you can have a free account, and that's cool, and maybe that works for you. That's fine. So we got that. And then paid, I've had people kind of get mad at my session because they said, well, are you would you have a paid account? I'm like, oh yeah, but without our paid account, we don't have free accounts. I mean, basically, what we're doing on the free side helps pay for the, the paid side helps the free side. So anyway, I always say there's no free lunch in life, and so anyway, I'm just trying to make that balance. Total disclosure up front. So if you would, grab your cell phone, whatever like that, and take a picture of this. So you always have the presentation link. It's also on the app as well. But there's also a resource page, which is great. We've just expanded that. And so people always say, what are some great ideas? What are other teachers doing? And so this resource page is really from all over the world, some great ideas that we've picked up on. And then what I've done is also created my own student projects list on different projects that I've had teachers. And matter of fact, a good one is at the beginning of the year, especially if you're at a middle school or a high school where you have kids coming together for the first time, is just doing a simple, like a 1-minute project, and the kids talk about themselves. So you get a chance to know your students, know their backgrounds, kind of know what they're feeling. It's a very simple project, but there's some really cool projects. There's an immigrant project that's out of Oakland. That is cool, where students are actually going interviewing their parents, and some of the parents who have escaped, different places, communism, Vietnam, different ones like that, and they've gone through and told their story, and it's they lay out the script, how to do it. So it's really a cool project, and so I've tried to capture a lot of those ideas. A lot of people don't know that we have screencasting built into the paid product, and so people will pay, Screencastify. Sometimes you don't know that there's green screen, and then again, the paid version has green screen, the free one doesn't. And so they'll go out and buy a Do Ink or something like that, and so you're spending extra money out here every year for those options, and we have it built in. And then we were talking about a class pack of the paid version starts for 30 seats to $199 a year. And then you can add seats, and the more seats you add, the lower the cost. So anyway, and then I put this on here too. Denmark became our first country. The entire country, every student has WeVideo. So over 600,000 students are using it. And it's really cool to see they have a country staff development day. It's really cool to see it's like this massive room of people, and and got a chance to see a video of that. So I borrowed this from a slide that I worked with a teacher, and why digital storytelling important. I think of it, the papers I wrote in high school, I wonder where they are. Yeah, I'm sure they were great. I'm sure it was a hot topic like that, but papers today, I mean, you have it. It's even newspapers right now. I was listening to a story where the guy is saying, hey, with newspapers on the decline, that radio is picking up that slack, but also the internet is picking up some of that slack when it comes to news. But your students today, especially expressing themselves, I think every student, no matter what they're going into, is going to need a sense of storytelling, because like I said, if they're planning to go into, if they're entrepreneurs, if you have that type of class, that type of student, they have to sell their idea, and now when you see Kickstarter and all, you see that's video. You're telling your story, you're bringing in emotion, you're bringing in that desire. It's like, hey, I want to be a part of that. But I always say, when you have students who are going toward a college, a lot of times now colleges don't want a paper anymore. They want to say, put together a video. We want you to tell us why we should bring you into our college. But what about the student who's not going to college? And this is one where I remember the kids in high school. There were kids with tremendous ability in crafts. I mean, crafts, automotives, the different ones, the kids I remember, and they weren't really the ones that were really outspoken, but they knew their stuff. If you could get them to record a video resume on their skill set, then, again, they have to be effective on telling the story. But this is just a simple outline. So what we've looked at is the best videos. The more time you spend up front here is the better you have here. And like a lot of times people go, no, I'm just, I just want to shoot video. No. And this is one of the things in being an effective storyteller is being able to work on the concepts, to work on the script, and especially storyboarding. But I found this slide. This is interesting. Why most common evils of student film projects. Audio. Yeah, so it's just getting that right. So a lot of times I'll see like school announcements, and they'll film it, and the microphone will be back here on the camera, and the students are up there on a table. And so you're like, what? What did they say? What did they say? Like this, and then you find out either putting a microphone on the table or miking the students makes it more effective. Hard to hear, but then you see poor script. Yeah. So scripting, I mean, when you see television, actually, matter of fact, this podcast I was listening to about NPR, I mean, even though it's funny, they say live from our studios, if you listen to the stories afterwards, they're almost all scripted with music in the background. So even though they tell you it's live, it's not really live. So anyway, I'm just saying, they do a lot of scripting, music tied in, different things. So I mean, that's what's, I believe your students get ready for. Okay, so WeVideo, here's a quick commercial. So when you come in, so you have different apps out there. So iMovie is probably the most common, but actually we have an iOS version, and Apple loves us because we do collaboration. We're doing classrooms, and they're like, great, because we're never going to do that because we're a consumer product. We're happy with that. And actually, I used to work for Apple. I think iMovie has become more difficult. I mean, I always look at trying to hit most of your students, and iMovie is kind of a lot tougher throughout the days. What we're trying to do is make video very simple. And then this one's gone, actually. Movie Maker is gone. They're not supporting it anymore, and we just signed an agreement with Microsoft that not only supporting your older Windows devices, if you have those, but also the new Windows 10 and Windows 10s. And then you have these cloud-based. So probably the top two that we see are Adobe Spark and Modesto. The thing is that if you want something quick, you can throw it into Modesto, Spark, or WeVideo, and use what we call Storyboard. These are Storyboard features. Yeah, the thing is, as students want to put their own music, they want music that relates to that, and a lot of times you're locked into the theme that you choose on these products. And matter of fact, one of the things is Modesto is not being used a lot of schools. There's something in California called AB 1584, and actually Modesto doesn't qualify for that. So it's not secure. You're not putting students in a secure environment when it comes into age brackets. And so with our environment, at least in the school version, you can put a kindergarten student or an 18-year-old, and then you choose the restrictions and privileges that you want. So you're able to lock it down a lot, or you can open it up. We see all different types. And so anyway, I'll tell you a little bit what's out there. And of course, our integration with Google is huge. We also have Google Classroom. I mean, when people see that, they go, wow, it's amazing. But anybody here Canvas district or Schoology? Okay, so we're adding Canvas integration coming up, and so we can tie directly into that. So your projects, your grading, a lot easier, and so we're building out that. And then, yeah, when it comes down to creative apps, we're one of the 3 recommended by Google when it comes to their creative bundle, which actually doesn't exist anymore, but anyway, nice to be. So when it comes down to managing WeVideo, someone at your district will be the owner, usually someone in the IT space. They're kind of the super admin. But then the admin can assign other admins. The owner can assign an admin. So for example, you could be at, I've seen like you'll have an admin for elementary, middle, and high. So maybe 3 different admins. Or each school will have an admin. That way, whatever the super user feels comfortable in giving as far as overall privileges. Like for example, we give you 8 different places where you can pull media from, and 8 different places where you can send your finished projects to. Like for example, YouTube. People say, hey, can I send it directly to YouTube? Yeah, you can. But if the owner doesn't want that to happen, he could shut that off and use an admin. You may have a certain school or something like that. You can set different privileges down to the classroom level or a school level. And so you can really restrict that. Say, okay, this one I'm not, maybe not ready for YouTube, but this one I'm fine with. So you can set different privilege levels. And then lead is a teacher, what a teacher would have. They're able to assign projects, they're able to collaborate with students, but they're not able to invite students in. That's the admin, and the owner does that. If you have Google Sync in place, it's an automatic invitation. So if a student clicks on the WeVideo page, clicks on the link, and they go and see their district account, they're automatically assigned a license. And what we spoke about at the early part, before we started, is once you assign that license, it's not locked into the student forever, or for that year period, because our license is year to year. But then what you can do is reassign that license. So let's say if you have a 9-week class, the students can have it for the 9 weeks. You can take the license away and assign it to the other group for 9 weeks. Okay, and then when it comes down, I mentioned, so Chrome, we have, some people have a Chrome extension that comes in, or I guess it's an app. And the thing about it is that app is only a shortcut to either the paid or the free version. Because some people will say, hey, I downloaded that. I have WeVideo on my Chromebook. No, it's just really a shortcut. And it makes getting to WeVideo easier. But when it comes to Android, we're the #1 video product on an Android device. And so, again, adding things, we're adding green screen will be on the Android soon, if it hasn't been released yet. It's coming. But then iOS, we put a lot of work in. That's the thing, if you have iPads, especially we're finding a lot of schools have iPads and Chromebooks. And that way you can have one tool where you're working on it. And especially with the iPad, bringing green screen to the iPad is cool. But since you have that student login, so once they've got a license, they can log in on their iPhone, on the Android phone, download our app, and then the app actually talks to their school account. And so as they're collecting media and doing different things, then all that can be pushed to the web, and so they're ready to go. This is cool if you do school announcements. So you set up a team of students who are your reporters and invite them to the project. And then as they're out collecting things, they're like, oh, that's a great interview, sync. And you're syncing it to the project folder. And then use the producer or a student. Like say, if you're out sick or you're away for that time, actually a student could jump in and produce the video for you.
Can they create a project on the Chromebook and then go access that from their iPhone and add onto it, and vice versa? Create it on the iPhone and then add on to it?
It's really from the iPhone. Once they go from the iPhone to the web adds complexity where we can't push it back to the iPhone. It's just it's basically that the iOS
upward compatible, but not like
correct. Yeah. We are working on we believe on a tablet we can do that on the iOS. That, for example, the timeline, you'll be able to see your timeline on either one.
So you could view the media you created on the Chromebook previously from the iPhone, you just can't edit or add to it.
Right. Okay. Right, because it becomes more complex. You're adding features that the iOS can't handle. That's a good question. Okay, and so let me go in, and what I want to do is show you right now how if you're a teacher, how you'd create a project. I'll just walk you through that, and then what I want you to do is get you onto hands-on and basically put you into a session. So you can get a chance to learn more about WeVideo and actually kick the tires.
Can we personally buy the site license for our classroom, or do we need our district to?
Oh, we can personally do it. I have teachers do that, or a homeschool club will pay for it or whatever. So for example, when you log in the first time, you're just going to see a dashboard. This would be the projects that you would have. Again, this is a teacher account. And so I have projects, media. Media is the media that I have, that I own, and I'm able to distribute that in different ways, which we'll talk about. Videos are the videos that are finished videos. So if it's a project, it's still in the project phase. And then groups. And groups, I think, is essential. Some people don't use this, but I think it's the way to go. Is you can go in and create a group for your different periods, and so it's easy to assign a project. So you could go through and build it. And so, for example, if you have the Google Sync in place, it's really easy to do. Or one of the things is, let's say if you.
I just want to sidechain the Google Sync later. Maybe I could talk to you about it afterwards.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, the Google Sync, it takes about 5 minutes. It usually requires someone in your IT group, and what you do is just you're signing, like say if you bought a block of licenses, you'd assign that to your school account. And then the first students that log in would get those licenses. And then some schools, we have like an all-school license. And if you do it that way, it's cool because then it's auto-managed. IT loves that because then if a student leaves your environment, your license is put back in the pool. If a student walks into your environment, they automatically assign the license. Yeah, we can do that. So anyway, so I built this manually, and I can go through and add members to the group. I can rename it. I can do all these things. I can even have a student manager, which is cool on a group because let's say you have different student groups, then just pick one of the students and let them manage that project. So they're kind of overseeing it. So give them the responsibility so you're not doing all this. But what you can do is just create a blank group, and then when you add members to the group, you're able to have a link that will be produced. You can send that link out through Google Classroom, and then the students click on it, and they'll automatically help you build the group. So that way, like I said, you can either manually do it or do it individually. And then you can start a group project from here. Always better, since you have that project, to start your project within there. So let me go through most projects. You'll go over here. This is an account that I've used before, so there's a lot of different projects from the other meeting I was at. But I'm going to go down here in the bottom right-hand corner and create a new project. So I have 3 options. I have to put a title in. If I want a description, that description will travel with it to Google Classroom or to Canvas, whatever. And then you have 3 options. Personal is to say, hey, I'm not going to look into the project. As a teacher, I'm not going to be, I just want the students to work on a project, and I'm not going to be involved in it. So we have that option. But the other 2 are more used. So collaborative is that group project I was talking about. If you have the school announcements, you can put all the students in. Now, imagine you have a group going to Washington, D.C. You could create a collaborative project for all the kids who are going to D.C., and as they're using their smartphone, say, hey, download the WeVideo app, and if you get a great shot or an interview with somebody like politician or whatever, then pop that into our folder. And then what you're able to do, and this is kind of a hierarchy, is that you can go from collaborative to shared. You can flip the account this way. You can't go this way, but you can go from the group down to individual. So that way, when you switch, when the field trip is done from Washington, D.C., and the students are back, you can take that collaborative project, move it to an individual or shared, and that way all the students get the benefit of all the media that was shared in the group project.
And then they do their own edits.
Right. So rather than having just their own video, they have the benefit of everybody else's videos, everybody else's pictures.
On the shared one.
Yeah. So like I said, you start here when you're on the Washington, D.C., and then you flip it when you come to school individually and have the students work on their own, like, what did you learn? What was your impression? Whatever.
So if teachers were going to a conference like this and they were scattered around in different sessions, they could create a collaborative project.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
And they debrief. They could have their pictures they took or maybe some sound bites and create a...
Right. So what these guys are doing, video, you could actually have students or a teacher assigned to every session and kind of getting a snapshot of the session and what's going on, and then you could put together a collaborative, like for example, when you have the closeout, you could have a collaborative video ready. Yeah, that's cool. And then also, you're able to use us as a shared environment. So for example, you can push it to YouTube, or you can actually just send out the link that we create. And then the cool thing is you can choose when you send out that link to either say another teacher is okay to download this, but if you don't want it downloaded, you can actually, they can view it and they can't download it. That's great for sending out to parents when it comes to your student privacy. They can see it, but they can't download it. And I'm going to go to the shared environment, go next. And then what I'm able to do, if I build a group, I can assign the group here, or I can just do the invite link. If I want to use Google Classroom, I can do that. And then I'm able to add media. So this is probably a feature that's used more in the K-3 classroom, probably. So that way, like for example, I used to think when I started WeVideo, I'm like, well, I can see this in 3rd, 4th grade, but above, but no one's going to use this K2. I've met a ton of cool K2 teachers, and what they use it for is sequencing and matching, different activities. So what they'll do is create slides, like for example, if you want students to work on ABCs in the kindergarten classroom, 26 slides. And actually, you can even attach the ABC song as a music file. And so then, the kids are doing the activity, all the media is there, because that's one of the things that frustrates a lot, especially iPad users, is like, wow, my kids don't understand iMovie, it's too complicated, and then getting media into the project is almost impossible. And so we help you circumvent that. So I can assign different things to the project, pick a couple shots here, don't have to. And then there's the link. For example, if I take the link, I can cut and paste and put that into Google Classroom. Canvas, it'll automatically go into Canvas. And that's so creating a project.
So if we are filming with a camcorder, how do we get the footage from there onto if I'm using a Chromebook, how would I get the footage from the camcorder to the Chromebook?
As long as you can get it into like a Google Drive or some form, get it onto either the desktop or into Google Drive or into USB. Okay. Yeah, and then just you can actually do a drag and drop. I'll show you how to add media. It's really easy, and there's many different ways to do it. And again, since you're that admin I was talking about, probably the most common people will pull from Google Drive, but you can also pull from Dropbox and different ones. But then if you're saying, hey, that's too complex, I just want a couple options for the kids, you can restrict those options. So when they go to say, where can I download from, they'll only see the options you give them. Okay, so again, go to WeVideo.com and go to login, upper right-hand corner, and then log in with the username and password I gave you. And then this is where you put your username and password here on the right-hand side. If you see the links here, this is where, like for example, if you do have Google Sync in place, all the students need to do is click on login with Google, see their account, boom, you're in. Okay, and then go to projects, and then what you want to do is go to the shared with me, and you should see a project that's called CapCUE. And so then what you want to do, we're going to create a new video edit from there. And I just want to show you basics when you go into the window. For example, on the top the menu bar, when you go into the editor, your media library is going to be on your left, your preview window, and your timeline. And so pretty simple. And here's the projects I set up. So how many people have never done a video before? Anybody? Good, okay, so I have a project, so probably want that 30-second project, but this is a neat thing. If you, let's say for teacher training, it's just come up, so what I've done is I got some old pictures. I just, so basically I picked some old pictures that are available to you in this project, and then you just come up with a title slide, and what you want the students, the teacher to do is pick a picture and then describe why they picked the picture, add a title, add a finish, and done. So 30 seconds or less. But the thing is, then they say, hey, creating a video wasn't that hard. That was pretty easy. And so they got one under their belt. And so that's a great intro one. A second one is we have a built-in tutorial. So on every page in WeVideo, you'll see a question mark up in the upper right-hand corner, and that will link teachers to a tutorial. And what we've done is field tested this one. So it's a step-by-step guide. I'll show you in a minute. And then it also has all the media they need to be successful in that 30-minute project. So teachers who say, wow, I've done a video, but it's been a long time. Perfect. 30 minutes, go in and finish this. If they can't finish it, they can go back and finish it. It doesn't erase and start over. And so we have that built in. And then a third idea, if the people are more advanced, we're talking about green screen, and I'll get into the green screen features, screencasting features to show you that. Screencasting's awesome, especially if you have, I went into a high school that had the PowerPoint presentations, and the teacher had, these cool PowerPoints and swooping things like this, and she said, well, I used to give these when I'd be out of the classroom to the substitute, and the substitutes would never figure it out. And so what she did is use screencast to be able to add her voice to the slides and save that. And so she goes, now when I go away, then they got my voice, they know exactly what I want across. I put it in the student folder, I put it in the substitute folder, done. I'm much more effective as a teacher. Anyway, go into WeVideo. So again, the project, and then you should see a new video edit. A new video edit screen, right?
Well, you said go to share with me, CapCUE?
Yeah, shared with me on the CapCUE. Yeah, the CapCUE project. There we go. All right. Yeah, and so this is, I'm in the teacher role here, so I can see more of what you're doing. So I can see all the projects that you'll be creating. But go in and just start it. It says new video edit. So just do a new video edit and then choose an idea, either that, probably a lot of it with the tutorial. Again, the tutorial, the question mark can be obtained up to the question mark, or use some of the media that I put in there. I have some video clips. There's 3 clips that deal with saving water. So you can pull those videos together and just try the editor out. So for example, when you see over here, my media is the media I own. I can only see that. And if a student, matter of fact, it comes up a question, like if students have media in their folder, you can't see it either. So that's a part of the privacy that they're right to. Shared is awesome. So for example, if you want media available to an entire grade level, like that, you can put it in shared, and then everybody in your environment has it. So for example, I had a project where they wanted all 4th grade teachers to complete a video project. So the lesson plan was handed out, all the media was put in a shared folder, so every 4th grade teacher could accomplish a video quick and easy. And so shared is awesome. So if you want to share it, and you can also shut off sharing where students can see shared, students can't see shared. So you have that protection. And then the project media is what I gave you, and on this project, you'll have just the certain parts of media. So I gave you a green screen clip. I gave you some, I'm a Cub fan, so I gave you some Cub video, awesome. So you have these pictures I showed, like these black and white pictures for the simple project. And then there's the water saving. And so let me show you one thing. So you notice that it defaults to your timeline. And timeline is probably where most of your students are going to spend their time. But let's say the principal comes in and says, hey, I know you know video. We have something happened in a half hour, and I got some pictures I emailed to you. Could you put together a quick video for me? We got it. Yeah, no problem. So you go over to your hamburger, this little menu up in the upper left-hand corner. I always call it as a hamburger, so it reminds me of. And you go to Storyboard. And Storyboard is where your K2 students are probably going to spend their time. It's real easy. But for you, that project, all you have to do is take the principal's pictures, throw this in so I can grab some pictures off here, drag them into the timeline.
Can you grab a batch?
Yep, you can do a whole entire batch and do that. Bring it in, and then add your title. You can go down over here and add a theme. So that way, if you want the music and everything done, just done. If you want to change the music, you can change the music here. If you need to add a voiceover, like come to our event, Saturday, and you can do that. And so we give you that quick and easy. So that's most of the cloud-based authoring tools just give you is a storyboard. They don't give you the flexibility that we do. But then most of the time you're going to spend in the timeline. And then also, before we get rid of the hamburgers here, also notice that you can start a new video from here. A save happens automatically, but if you want to do a manual save, you can do that. There's a revision history, so just like Google. And then you can get to help menu. There's different settings and different ones. So your hamburger is your friend, a lot of cool settings. And so go ahead and try. Grab something. I mean, like I said, if you want to do something easy, take the 3 water ones. So you see there's 3 water videos and do that. I'll show you green screen in a minute. So one of the things we just added, which is really cool, are these titles, and they're called motion titles. They're awesome. You can also have, we talked about for the contests, sometimes you need copyright-free music. Since you have, on the free account, we give you, I think it's like 50 songs. On the paid account, we give you 400 songs. And so you have premium music here, and of course the kids will say, hey, I'd rather have my own music, but most of the contests you can't use copyrighted music. We also have sound effects, which are cool. You got the rain, you got the applause, things like that. Especially at middle school, kids will spend a half hour just like, we are talking about adding in some content providers. Here's transitions, so you can do the ESPN fade in, fade outs, and then also too the background. So for example, if you're doing a news show, we have a news opener that has that, and there's also a news sound effect. So if you just want something quick and easy for your school news reports, you got it. Okay, so adding media, I just click on the green cloud up there, and so I'm able to do a drag and drop, or I can go from these. So here's the options that we give you up front, but you can shut those off. You say, hey, I don't want kids using Dropbox or Instagram or Facebook. Now, Facebook is rarely turned on in school. But again, so you have the ability, so when a student clicks on this, and then your school admin controls that level. So what I'm able to do, let's say, for example, I'm in an English class and I'm doing Macbeth or something like that and have 3 acts. I don't know. And so what I'm able to do is have students work individually on the project or a book project or whatever. But I'm able to take certain edits on my list here or on the project and sew them together. So for example, if I wanted to take these three and sew them together, all I'm going to do is do a right click and highlight them. And then I do a right click, and then it says something, combine edits. So even though the individual projects, I'm able to sew these three projects together. I'm able to show, like, put Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 together, and then the students work on a collaborative finish. So that way, and actually, you can actually go in and see exactly how much time each student has spent on that. Go ahead and show you this. So I'm dropping a picture in the timeline. You have a slider in the bottom right-hand corner if you want to make your picture larger or smaller. So I'm going to grab this and I can actually stretch that out. And then when you notice when I click on that line, my editing tools pop up. What I can do, I can transform this picture. I can go through and set animation. I can go through and do some color correction. And actually, we've just added some new features to the color correction, so we're a little bit better than we were about 2 months ago. And then also, if I'm in green screen, I can go through and do the color keying. But since we're getting close to time, let me show you. So think of green screen is that as you're building layers, and so you have unlimited audio and video layers. So for example, music classes love to do music blends. And so those music blends have, sometimes you'll see 7, 8 different layers of music for the student to get that special effect. But when it comes to video, whatever you have on the top track is the dominant track. And so, for example, if I want to use green screen, and this will go to one of the questions you had, I'm going to put on the bottom track as I'm going to have my farm, and then on the upper layer, I'm going to put my green screen clip. So now, if I go through and play this, remember the green screen is dominant. So again, clicking on the green screen clip, first thing I'm going to do when the editing tools come up, most of the time it'll default to here, is what I can do is take the realtor and I can shrink her footprint and I can bring her over here to the corner. Then what I want to do is get rid of the green screen. That's the tool here. And then I click on the dropper, I click on the green screen, and gone. And so now I have the realtor in the green screen. And then one of the things that always bug me are those black lines on the bottom track. What I can do is get rid of those black borders by going through and actually clicking and making the picture fit to the screen. So again, real simple one. But then this kind of relates to the picture. So someone said, well, what if I want to put my school logo in there? So what I can do is create another track. So I have a plus up here. I can keep creating new layers. So new layer. And I don't have a logo, but let's say I'm going to throw this, I'll take the Cub track, throw it in here. Again, so now when I play it, the top track is still dominant, as I said, comes in. Okay, and so what I can do, and also I can mute the sound, like for example, if I have sound in different tracks, I can silence a track, pull some of the sound off. But what I'm going to do in this track now and edit it is all I want to do is scale down this track and move it over here. So my school logo, my whatever I want to put in there. And now, when I go back, well, here's what I want to show you. So here's what you can do on different layers of green screen. So this is actually a seven-layer track. So you could throw a picture on here, and then as he takes away a track, it goes away. So again, it's very simple, but it's really cool. It shows the power of that, and he's only used a part of that. So you could have a student here saying, like on this topic, this is the answer. There's no other question. And then have another student up here going, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? So you could have these point counterpoints and have a picture on picture and having all the students. So the trick is if you have the main student here when they're done saying, well, this is what it is, and they kind of look over here and go, yeah, right, yep. So glad to answer any questions. Probably have to clear out the room. Thank you for coming, and I'll follow up on an email in case you have any other questions. Glad to help.